When you are playing a game for the first time, what do you think of first? Am I in for a good story? Is the combat going to keep me engaged? Or how will this title differentiate itself from the others? Well, I plan to talk about that and more over the course of my new show, Game Speak. And for our first topic today, I will be going over what I believe is the most engaging part of any video game: movement. Hello, I'm GalicEnder, and welcome to Game Speak. This new show is an appreciation of all things video games. Whether it's specific topics like today's episode, insight from my friends and other game enthusiasts, or eventually, hopefully, one day, the developers themselves. So, why is movement so important? Well, we're getting to that. Be patient, damn it. But I plan on dissecting every aspect of movement in a general sense and applying it to some of your favorite video games. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So why is movement the most engaging, if not one of the most important aspects of any video game? Well, it's what you spend the most time doing. When you're not listening to dialogue or watching a cutscene, you're running loop-de-loops, exploring the vast wasteland, fighting off hordes of zombies, or attempting to beat that time trial for the 100th time. Movement can define a game's identity based on who you play as and what tools it gives the player to express themselves. Even in more narrative-driven titles, navigation of the game's world is still utilized to progress the plot. I want to break down the components of movement and dissect all the elements that makes it unique to the game you're playing. And I believe the best place to start is finding out who you're playing as. So, what do I mean when I say movement starts by seeing who you play as? Well, it's as simple as that, really. The first impression of a character's design should give off a sense of their personality and physical features that can be assumed on how they function in gameplay. Caleb Compton's game development article goes over a lot of great stuff on movement in video games. After comparing two well-known titles, Spider-Man PS4 and Super Mario Odyssey, Caleb writes, "Every aspect of these two very different movement systems serve the same goal: make the player feel like they are the character. Whether it's hopping and flipping around the level as Mario or swinging through buildings as Spider-Man, each movement feels completely natural and combos perfectly into their next move." With that insight, let's take a deeper look into Spider-Man, based off the game's presentation and introduction of the character. And to make things interesting, we'll do our best to view this from the perspective of someone who's never heard of Spider-Man. Looking at the game's box... Oh, that's right. I sold my hard copy. Hold on. There we are. I love this box art. It's simple and to the point, but insanely vibrant with its crimson background contrasting with the blues on Spider-Man's suit and making that big, beautiful white spider pop. We get the impression that Spider-Man is a superhero with that Marvel logo slapped on the top and the fact he's fine with wearing a glorified Halloween costume in public. We can also see he's very strong with those washboard abs showing through his suit and those boulder shoulders. God damn! Despite being swole enough to make any gym bro jealous, he's also extremely acrobatic, and we also get the impression that he likes to swing with ropes, or in this case webs because it's Spider-Man. So based off this image alone, I can rightfully assume we are going to be playing as a superhero that's strong as hell, fancy with his movement, and traverses primarily with swinging and can do everything a spider can. Let's see how accurate we are when we boot up the game. Alrighty, Spider-Man is sticking to the wall on the start screen. Okay, spider-like attributes, check. Now for the opening. We see Peter's messy apartment with all of his gadgets, leftover food, and then BAM! Spider-Man! He dives out the window and immediately starts web swinging. Traversing via swinging. Check. He then runs on the side of a building, followed by slingshotting himself over the roof on another building, adding in a backflip for style. Fancy movement. Check. And just like that, we are in the action, with a seamless transition of web swinging through the concrete jungle of New York City. Music is blaring, the wind is rushing, and my god, this feels incredible. Soon after, we're fighting our first batch of goons, flipping around and just beating the ever-living crap out of them. Strong, check. Just by examining the imagery of Spider-Man alone, we were already able to predict how he moves within the first 5 minutes of starting up the game. All the greatest titles lead you with an impression of how a character will feel based off their appearance and introduction of their game. But as in life, appearance isn't everything. Another big attribute to influencing a character's movement is the environments you set them loose in. From the largest open landscape to the most compact hallways, everything around you affects the character's speed and abilities. And just like Caleb mentioned in his article, the controls are designed to have one action flow into another as naturally as possible, whether you're web swinging from building to building or just beating the crap out of some bad guys. Level design is a game's bread and butter. Without it, there's no game. But how does it affect a character's movement? Well, we can start by looking into the concept of flow. Flow is the general feeling of moving along different paths and parts of a level, and we can look at this in various ways. But a good way to start is by comparing level design to the layout of a racetrack. The fast-paced straightaways, combined with the complex twists and turns, are similar to how a level can be laid out. You want to have sections that let the player run free with little consequence, but also throw in some obstacles to shake them up. Looking at the basic design of a 2D Sonic level, they are broken down to 3 routes. The upper routes are more kindred towards speed and putting very few walls in Sonic's path to immediately stop him. However, this route is also the most difficult to stay on, and rewards the players for staying on top of it by hiding 1-ups and other power-ups like invincibilities and speed shoes. The low route is focused around more intricate platforming and can switch from being the safest or most dangerous route depending on the zone. The middle is the bridge between these 2 routes, having interconnecting pathways that branch together, giving the player a choice of where they would like to go. In a 3D space, that's where things start to get a bit more complicated, and can be taken in any direction. In a multiplayer first-person shooter, maps are designed around navigation that can both benefit or detriment the player's survivability and put their skills to the test. Let's take a look at Valorant, specifically the map Haven, and I'll call out the examples of good and bad flow. Good flow can be described as your most comfortable sections of the map. Your vision is not very obscured, you are able to react to enemy players, and you feel more confident in running around challenging your opponents. Bad flow is when a player is brought to a halt, like when you approach a door that obstructs your visions. And based off your map knowledge, you know that it leads to a narrow hallway with the possibility of someone waiting for you to walk in. This uncomfortable decision is inconvenient, no doubt, but is needed for drama and to encourage the player to be smart about their strategies on how to approach the match. Now take a solo experience shooter like Doom Eternal. Now we're talking strictly movement, taking one focus point that even goes back to the original title, Don't Stop Moving. So levels are designed around open spaces, giving Doom Guy the space he needs to fight the Demon Horde. Sometimes fast is good, sometimes slow and complex is good. It all depends on what the message the game is trying to convey to the player. Dead Space relies on long, narrow hallways and compact rooms to hide key items or solutions to puzzles, having the player moving slowly to observe details and watch out for threats. Cyberhook relies on straight pathways for the player to gain momentum and clear massive gaps while retaining speed. Collectathons like banjo-kazooie rely on a mixture of these concepts, providing players various playgrounds to express their abilities and apply them to the game's many challenges. Camera placement also affects how the player perceives speed. The amount of what players can see on screen can skew what going fast actually looks like. What would you consider fast? 60 miles an hour? 80? 100? While yes, those are incredibly fast speeds, portraying that in-game is more difficult than it sounds, and a lot of it has to do with the position of the camera and how much of the screen the character takes up. In Masahiro Sakurai's video about speed in video games, he looks at Kirby Air Ride and explains that even though the top speed isn't the fastest in realistic terms, the top speed in that game is like 42 miles an hour, but since Kirby takes up a large portion of the screen, it gives the illusion that he's going faster than he actually is. Boot up any racing game that has the option to change the camera position and play around with top speeds. The results may surprise you. So now that we got the main topics out of the way, it's time to examine the little things that really makes movement feel impactful. I'm talking about sound and visual effects, and I believe Pizza Tower is a prime candidate for this topic, with its unhinged art style and emphasis on speedrunning gameplay. Peppino is a wild character. When he stands around, he looks like he's scared of his own shadow. Then all of a sudden, you're grabbing enemies, slamming them into the ground, stretching your body like pizza dough, and running frantically like you just snorted crack. These signals Peppino portrays dictate the atmosphere of the game and the player's playstyle. You don't want to mess up at first, so you're moving slow, taking time to observe the layout of the map and how Peppino can navigate the level, discovering potential shortcuts while freeing the trapped pizza toppings. Then you break that final stone block at the end of the level and your screen starts shaking, the running sound is humming in your ear, you got this kick-ass song playing in the background, Peppino starts glowing like a Christmas tree. This is the beauty of movement emphasized with visual and audio effects. Granted, Pizza Tower goes overkill with its effects, but it makes the perfect example of character movement, from careful observation to running like a lunatic to complete the stage. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of GameSpeak. Next time we will have a guest and a brand new topic to discuss. If you have any topics you'd like to see talked about in future episodes, then let me know in the comments below. Also, subscribe to see future episodes. Thank you so much, everyone. Take it easy. Bye. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the very end. I greatly appreciate it. This is the end card where I just kind of go off script and just talk and ask how you guys are doing. I hope you're all doing well. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I'm trying to put videos out, at least semi-consistently, giving myself a 2-week window to kind of plan, film, and create. Though the next video is going to be part 2 of Game Bracket 4, which may take a little longer than 2 weeks. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But this show, Game Speak, the main inspiration of it was, in the last video, Game Bracket, it was met with probably the most criticism out of any episode, and all for good reasons. One was I missed a detail in Metroid where, that apparently I was supposed to use the heat visor on the rock boss and yada yada, and then I mispronounced Varia's suit with Viera's suit. That was stupid. It's all stupid. But then there were some people, really defending Halo 2, and I love Halo, but I guess, with games growing up essentially and how movement in shooters has become more refined with speed and certain mechanics like ledge grab and all sorts of stuff, I figured, movement would be an interesting topic to look into, educate myself more on, and maybe spread that knowledge to you guys in a way that I hope you find is interesting. So yeah, Halo 2's movement basically inspired this whole new show I want to create, and eventually I'd like to bring on friends, and the main goal is to bring on the developers and ask their insights on certain things about video games and game design and all sorts of cool stuff like that. I'd love to just interview an indie game developer and put them on this show and ask them all sorts of questions and, gain whatever knowledge they have and kind of express their side of making their game and what inspired them to do it. So that's what I hope to bring out of this series, as well as educate anybody who likes game design like I do. I'm not a game developer, but I play a lot of video games, and the more you play, the more you kind of just pick up on these sort of things. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts behind it, and I really hope you enjoyed it. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.